Hey, how's it going? Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining the CAGED system. I'm going to be explaining what it is, how to play it, and some scenarios in which you might want to use the CAGED system. So the CAGED system is a really great way of really understanding your fretboard. It will give you a really deep knowledge of chords and arpeggios and how they're all linked together. Let's get straight into it. The CAGED system is derived, the name is derived from the C, A, G, E, and D chords. Now I'm going to use a capo to help you visualize the CAGED system. If you have a capo, you can follow along with me at home. If you don't have a capo, then just keep watching the video and you'll still understand. So I'm going to put the capo on the 7th fret, and we're going to start off by playing a C chord. Now, with the capo on the 7th fret, the C chord is not actually a C chord, the root note is a G, so we're actually playing a G chord here. Now what we want to do is visualize how to play this chord without the capo. Now when we take the capo off, we've got these open strings that are not part of the chord. So what we need to do is kind of use our index finger as a capo to compensate for that, and we get a C shape that looks like this. Now this is a G chord, and what we would call this is the C shape because it looks like a C chord. Now what we're doing is placing our little finger on the 10th fret of the A string, our ring finger on the 9th fret of the D string. We're barring the top 3 strings at the 7th fret with our first finger, and we're placing our middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string. And that is our C shape. This shape can be moved up and down the fretboard just like all the other shapes. Now let's put the capo back on and play an A chord. Actually, I'm going to play it with these 3 fingers, a little bit easier. Okay, your A chord looks like that. We are not actually playing an A chord, it's an E chord because the root note is an E. So we're playing this E chord with an A shape because it looks like an A chord. We take the capo off, and again, we have these open strings that sound quite nice, but they're not part of the E chord. So we have to bar and place our fingers here like this. You might be familiar with this bar chord already. So we're placing our index finger on the 7th fret, again barring that from the 5th string all the way down to the top string. And then we're placing our middle finger on the 9th fret of the D string, our ring finger on the 9th fret of the G string, and our little finger on the 9th fret of the B string. And this is an E chord, but it's the A shape because it looks like an A chord. So this is the second shape of the CAGED system, our A shape, and I've just dropped my capo. All right, so let's put the capo back on again. Now let's play a G chord. So we have a G chord. Now again, this is not a G chord. The root note is D here, so we're actually playing a D chord, but it's the shape of a G chord, so we have a G shape. Now if we take the capo off again, got those open strings that we don't want in the chord, so we have to compensate by barring the 7th fret with our index finger once again, and I dropped my capo once again. So our chord looks like this. Okay, we are playing our G shape, not with these 3 fingers, but with these 3 fingers now. So our ring finger is on the 10th fret of the E string, middle finger on the 9th fret of the A string, little finger on the 10th fret of the high E string, and we're barring the 7th fret at the D, G, and B strings, like that. We get that shape. This is probably the most tricky of all the shapes, and I never really use it for when I'm playing chords. I use it for more single note application, which we will talk about later on in the video. So I'm going to pick up my capo and place it back on the 7th fret. We've done the C shape, the A shape, and the G shape now. So just to recap, that was a D chord, but in the G shape. Now let's play an E chord. Now this is not called an E chord, this is called a B chord, but we're playing the E shape. There. Now if we take the capo off, we have this horrible sounding chord. Not too bad actually. But we have the low E, the B and E ringing out as open strings, which we don't want. We want to bar the 7th fret, use our finger as the capo, and play our E shape with our middle ring and little fingers. So our ring finger plays the 9th fret of the A string, our little finger plays the 9th fret of the D string, and our middle finger plays the 8th fret of the G string. So there you have it. We have a B major chord, but it's the E shape. So we've learnt 4 shapes so far. We've learnt the C shape, we've learnt the A shape, we've learnt the G shape, and we've learnt the E shape. We're going to put the capo on one more time. And we're going to do the D shape now. So we're going to play a D chord with this capo on the 7th fret. Now we take the capo off. We have that open D string that we need to deal with. So we're going to play the 7th fret of the D string. Then we're going to play with our middle finger the 9th fret of the G string. Little finger goes on the 10th fret of the B string, and our ring finger goes on the 9th fret of the high E string, and we have the D shape. It's actually an A major chord, but it looks like a D, so it's the D shape. Fantastic. So we've got 5 chord shapes there. We've got the C shape, A shape, G shape, E shape, and D shape. Now what we've got to do is figure out how we can play one chord using all 5 of these shapes. So we're going to take a D major chord, okay, and we're going to find all 5 shapes of our D major chord. Okay, so let's start off with the C shape. With the C shape, our root note is on the 5th string, on the A string. So we have to find a D on the A string, which is at the 5th fret. Now, to play our D chord with the C shape, we're going to play our C shape starting at the 5th fret of the A string. There we go. We found shape number 1. Okay. Now you're going to find that all of these shapes are linked together with one or more notes, which I will show you as we go along. After the C shape, we have to find the A shape now. So the A shape also has the same root note, the 5th fret of the A string, and then we play our A shape from there. The 2 shapes, the C shape and the A shape, are linked by their root note. After the C shape and the A shape, we have to find the G shape. So the G shape, with the G chord, the root note is on the 6th string, the low E string. So we have to find where a D is on the low E string, and that would be the 10th fret. Okay, and we play our G shape from there. There we go, G shape. And as you can see, the G shape is linked to the A shape through the 7th fret of the D, G, and B strings. So you can see how everything is starting to link together a little bit. Now we have to find the E shape. We found the C, A, and G shapes. We have to find the E shape now. The E shape and the E chord, the root note is on the low E string, which is the 10th fret of the low E string again. And I dropped my capo again. We play our E shape from there, from the 10th fret. Now, as we can see, the root note is the same as the G shape, and also we share the other root note on the high E string. Now, finally, we have to find the D shape. Now, obviously, it's a D chord. We can play it down there, but we're going to try and find it higher up. So a D on the D string, which is where the root note is, would be the 12th fret. And we can play our D shape starting from there as well. These chords get really fiddly the higher up the fretboard you get, so just be aware of that. So we found now the C, A, G, E, and D shapes of our D chord. So we can play it anywhere we want to on the fretboard. Yeah, that's such a tricky one. Awesome. Now let's do this really quickly with one more chord. We're going to find an F chord in the 5 caged positions. So in the C position, we have an F chord that looks like this, or in the C shape, I should say. Then in the A shape, we have an F chord that looks like this. Then in the G shape, we have an F chord that looks like this. That one is really fiddly when you get higher up the neck. Then we could keep going higher and higher, but I'm going to go lower for the E shape now. We have an F chord that looks like that. And then we have the D shape, which we can find here. All right, so we have 5 different ways of playing an F chord. Now I have a challenge for you, and the challenge is to use the circle of fifths and find all 5 caged positions of each chord around the circle of fifths. So we're going to start with C, then move to G, then move to D, then move to A, and then E, F sharp, all the way around the circle of fifths. So for C, you'd find C, A, G, E, D, then you move to the next chord, which is G, C, A, G, you could do it like that as well, E, D, and it will really ingrain that CAGED system knowledge into your brain. So now that we know how to play the CAGED system all across the fretboard, let's take a look at some applications of the CAGED system. So the first scenario would be when you have 2 guitarists playing together and they have to play the same chord progression. So say we have a C, F, and G chord progression. Okay. Now you have 2 guitarists, they both have to play the chords. If they're both playing here, it's going to sound a little bit boring, but if we can play in 2 different areas of the fretboard, so one guitarist plays those chords and another guitarist plays the same chords but higher up using the CAGED system, then it's going to really thicken the sound and it's going to sound a lot richer and more kind of deep, I guess. So, for example, to play the C, F and G chords higher up the neck with the CAGED system, I could do a C here, an F here, and a G here, whilst the other guitarist is playing like that. The second scenario would be writing a solo or a lead lick or a lead part for a song. The CAGED system allows you to find the chord tones of any chord that's being played. So for example, we'll use a C chord again. Any note within a C chord is a chord tone, and those notes, obviously when you're playing a solo, sound really great to play over that particular chord. You just target the notes within the chord, within the CAGED system. You're guaranteed to have notes that sound really good over your chords. This allows you to arpeggiate chords. So, for example, a D major chord. Could do that. You could also sweep pick them. If I add the 5th onto my D major chord there. Or if I played an A shape, I could add the 3rd on and the octave there. And as you can see, the CAGED system is open to being altered slightly so that you can fit things in. So there we have it. That is the CAGED system. To recap, we have 5 different shapes: the C shape, A shape, G shape, E shape, and D shape. And you can use those to play any of your major chords across the fretboard. The CAGED system can be used in many different scenarios, including writing chord parts for songs, for example, 2 different guitar parts in 2 different parts of the neck, and also for writing lead guitar parts where you just arpeggiate the chords being played or use the notes of the CAGED system to target chord tones. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe to my channel, let me know what you thought in the comments, and I want you to check out this video now.